Today I got to spend my day with one of my favorite people in one of my favorite places. Please have a listen to my godson, RJ.
Yeah.
This is actually we started in 2012. This would be our fourth presidential election. Can you believe this?
Right.
It's crazy. All right, so I have to start with the basics, right? If you could describe in one word how you're feeling about this election, what would that word be?
I would say hopeful, ready for change. So one aspect of the election, so in my entire adult life, before I could tell you what a political party was, Trump's been the dominant figure in American politics. It's been one of the most divisive and one of the most polarized periods in modern history. And it's just, we've never gotten to see what quote unquote good politics looks like. With this election, I think we finally have a chance to just put it all behind us, right? Turn the page, new generation, new time, all that, just ready to move on.
And if you were thinking about looking forward from this, what do you hope for in the next 5 years? I mean, you are so young, right? And you're kind of new to this, but what do you hope for going forward, RJ?
I would say that I would hope for a return to normalcy, right? Sort of less divisive rhetoric, less conspiracies, all that. A time when we can have a debate without talking about Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs in Ohio, all that. Just a return to real politics is what I hope for. Now, whether that will happen remains to be seen, but that's what we hope for.
And I have a new one this year, so get prepared. If you could think of the one thing about being American that you love more than anything else, and especially the thing that makes you feel a part of this country, what do you think that would be?
So I would say one thing that I really love about America is our ability to sort of change and adapt with time. So like we have one of the longest continuous governments in the world and one of the longest continuous constitutions in the world, and that's not an accident. We've made it through civil wars, assassinations, world wars, riots, all that, because we can adapt and change and come out the other side as a better America. And that's something that it's something that helps you feel connected to it. Knowing that if America doesn't resemble what you want it to be, you can help make it what you want it to be. That, and that doesn't happen everywhere. A lot of countries have to either the government collapses and they have to start over. New constitution, new governance. But we have a long history of being able to adapt and change with the times, and can continue that into the future.
It's been so fun over these years because you've, even at 8 years old, we did the calculation, right? Even at 8 years old, you were always aware of government. And part of your dad is a city, he's a city treasurer now, right? Or
township, right? Township,
and but so it's got a little bit in your blood, but still, you said something to me about. Because you've made a choice, you're studying at George Washington University, you can see the White House from there, right? And you've made a choice to study political science at one of the best universities for that.
Right.
And you aren't having any regrets. You are basically, and you gave me a very specific reason why. Will you tell me what?
Yeah, so with study political science, there's nowhere better in the country than the Capitol. Unmatched experience. It's not, so a lot of the country is more so politically tangentially engaged, sometimes disengaged, that sort of thing, right? People turn up and vote every 2 years, some every 4 years, but it's not the inside of sort of the political world, right? Like at the school, I was able to, this morning, right, I walked into lunch, sat down with a couple of my friends, and we started talking about the New York Times poll, the Siena poll that came out yesterday. The Rust Belt state, not Rust Belt, the Sun Belt state polls. And that's not something you can do in a lot of the country, right? Like, especially at a college level. We don't even have a football team. and it attracts a very specific type of person and personality that I think that I've connected with pretty well.
Well, since I'm visiting tomorrow, what I loved was like you instantly zeroed in that I'm going to be here tomorrow and something else is happening. And you are like most kids would be about a football game. You are about this one event. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Right. So tomorrow, the House is set to vote on a continuing resolution patch. That essentially it's a piece of legislation designed to prevent a government shutdown by extending funding through a certain date at the same levels. Because nobody this time around, we have a major presidential election in 40-something days. Nobody wanted to spend their time on a massive budget fight or, God forbid, have a shutdown. So, continuing resolution. It's still been a bit of a winding path to get here. But yeah, the vote's scheduled on that tomorrow, and looks like the stars should be aligning. Fingers crossed. We should be able to go watch together.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Watching a House vote is definitely something special. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize it, but any vote in Congress is totally open to the public. You just got to stop by your congressional office, get a couple of gallery passes, and anybody can go up and watch live and in person. Senate votes are honestly, frankly, Senate votes can be a bit more boring, just because of the way debate is structured. A couple people will filter in, cast their ballots, walk out. But watching the House vote, that's something special. Seeing, which people crowd together in what corner. Lauren Boebert, Chip Roy, and and Byron Donald, all chatting in the corner. It's something special.
Oh my gosh! Go ahead. You did that right in front of him.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. So okay. Then I'm going to say, so the dessert is here and it's going to melt, but I want one really important last thing. You got to be at the Democratic Convention.
Right.
There was one event in particular that you knew in advance you wanted to be there for, but why don't you tell the story of Tuesday of the Democratic Convention?
Yeah, so the convention on the whole, and especially Tuesday night, were just electric, So for the past 4 years, really, since 2020, speaking as a Democrat, right, elections have felt largely like playing defense. The midterms, the question was, how few seats can we lose in the House? Can we hold on to the Senate? Elections in between, again, how can we not lose? And again, coming up to the 2020 election, before Kamala stepped into the race, it was, okay, how can we scrape together 270 electoral votes and get over the finish line? But ever since the race was transformed, it's gone from defense to finally feeling like we're playing offense again, like the enthusiasm is there. People are out, they're ready to vote, they're excited to vote, they're ready to get their friends to vote, their neighbors to vote, and they're excited for the election. And that was really reflected throughout the convention, but especially on the roll call Tuesday night. Usually conventions, roll calls are just standard. It's a parliamentary procedure, right? You rattle down the list of states, how many delegates from each state voted for which candidate. It's checking a box in the bylaws. But this one, it was something else. It was amazing. They had rappers singing live, whole stadium of people singing 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. It was really something incredible. And then at the end of it, it was probably, from a purely technical perspective, even ignoring the implications, right? Just from a technical perspective, the ending was like the single coolest thing I ever saw. So like the roll call ended, and this was in Chicago, right? They finished going down the last states. California, they were the last state to go since that's Harris's home state. They announced their delegate count. And then, they made an announcement, the lights dimmed, the projectors came on, and Harris walked onto the stage in Wisconsin, just synced up live at the same time. And coincidentally, it was in the same arena that the RNC was held. So 2 full venues, both the RNC and the DNC arenas filled up to capacity, talking to both of them at the exact same time.
Oh my gosh. I can't think of a nicer way to bring this plane in this year. Thank you. I hope you hear me. I am so very proud of you, RJ.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
RJ has chosen a path to public service. Tonight, I passed along my microphone, a vote t-shirt, and a challenge. To talk to strangers, to listen, record, and remember. we could not be in better hands.